So, how did we get here? Zodiac by Bianox and more. It's a 3-minute long demon with some of the most brutal gameplay of all time. It used to be the hardest level in the game all the way back in 2019. We know where it is now. Yeah, Zodiac. It's a level, that's for sure. Basically, this is how this video is gonna go. First, I'm gonna be talking about every single part in the level and ranking the difficulty of them, just to give you an idea of how hard each part actually is. Then, I'll talk about my experience with Zodiac. First the positives, and then the negatives, just for you to know my true thoughts on the level by the end of the grind. As well as this, I'll show some clips of me getting some new bests and some fails too.
They're not going to be any normal clips, I'll tell you that.
Rick Holt's part, or Rico LP's part in Zodiac, is the very first part in the level. It's probably the easiest section of Zodiac, and a lot of people that have only beaten like an easy demon are actually able to get past it, with some practice of course. But yeah, overall very easy part, not much to say about it. Same with Ricole's part. Rustam's part is also very easy. It has some slightly harder gameplay, but other than that, it's pretty easy. This is the first pretty challenging part of Zodiac. It consists of some hard robot timings, with some of them being quite awkward to pull off. This part can get pretty annoying, as for me early on, most of my attempts would actually just end here because it's quite chokeable. Difficulty tones down a bit here, with the only hard bit of Jakob Nugget's part only really just being the first 2 clicks. I would sometimes die here, but not very often. Bianox's part, probably the most fun part of Zodiac in my opinion. I don't know, just something about the way the gameplay was made here makes it really enjoyable, despite the fact that dying is actually quite annoying at times. Dream Eater's part is another one of the easiest parts in Zodiac. It has an asymmetrical duel, which is actually easier than it looks, and one hard click at 25%, which is probably what's making the difficulty a 2 instead of a 1, to be honest. Dudex's part consists of just mostly orb timings and a really annoying ship at 31%. It's not even hard, I just struggled with it for no reason. Now, this is the last easy part of the level for now. The gameplay flows well and it has a nice little spider copter at the end. Now this is the part where the level gets really, really hard. Ah, shock. Where do I even begin? In fact, I know how to start. Fuck you and your part. I'm sorry, that was very mean. Anyway, this is tied for probably the hardest part of the entire level, having in my opinion around the same difficulty as TMN's part, which we'll get to later. Shock's part is some of the most diabolical gameplay of all time, especially 40%. You wanna know how many times I died there? 150! Yeah, I know, insanity. And at about 42%, there are some pretty hard dual ball timings, but then it leads into an easy ship at the end. Yeah, overall an awful part in terms of difficulty. Juho, or Yuho, is a very hard part. Not as hard as Shock, but still very difficult. It has some interesting dual wave gameplay and a unique spider part towards the end, which is actually pretty fun to play. Although, it's far from easy, being the second hardest part so far. The tactics part is, I guess, what you could call the break part of Zodiac. However, this is not true. The gameplay doesn't really get any easier, as it's still extremely difficult. This part has hard robot timings and an awkward ship. Samifang's part is actually not hard, except for the fact that there's two specific bits that make up all of its difficulty. At 53%, there is the infamous UFO timing that is always super awkward to transition into, and at 54, there is just a really hard wave release that is sometimes consistent and sometimes not. TMN's part. This is widely accepted to be the hardest part of Zodiac, and rightfully so. First, there is a really hard orb click at 56%, then the tight flying at 58%, and of course 59%. Since this level is so damn long, 59% isn't just one choke point, but two choke points. The first being a really hard ball timing, where you have to click early enough to not hit the spike at the end, but not too early, otherwise you'll just hit the spike at the left anyway. The second choke point is just a hard wave release, kind of like the one at 54, except we're at 2 times speed now. After this, TMN's part isn't that bad, and you swiftly move on to the next part. Failure's part. I was originally going to put this at a difficulty of 8, but for whatever reason, towards the end I was just really bad at this part, making it nearly as difficult as Shock and even TMN for me. Anyway, all I can really say for this part is that it's just simply hard. At 62 there's a hard ball click, at 64 there's a hard ship part, and you know what, this level's just hard, and hard! Finally, at 66, there is the really difficult green orb double click, and then that's the end of Failure's part. Yeah, so for whatever reason, after all that impossible top 1 gameplay, this part just randomly spawns in. It's a super easy part, and it acts as like the first true break part of the level. There's nothing hard about it, and you should not die to it from zero. You can probably tell that the level is looking a bit easier now, and you'd be correct. It is, in fact, easier after 66%. The real challenge of this level now only comes from how well you can handle your nerves. Anyway, Marwek's part isn't that bad and just has a couple of tricky timings. Penato, the last really hard part of Zodiac. This part is mainly wave based with a couple of odd timings throughout. Funnily enough though, the hardest part isn't even the wave, it's somehow the orb timings. They're just really awkward and easy to mess up. Especially the one at 79. This orb is a blind frame perfect click that completely relies on muscle memory. Slim Jim's part. This is the point where I would consider the beginning of the end for Zodiac. This is because there's nothing truly that challenging anymore, and you just need to pray that you don't mess up. Anyways, this part only has like really one hard ball double click at 84, and that's about it. Leo Creator's part. Not much to say on this one, just one pretty hard click at 92%. Enlex, the final part of Zodiac. I definitely don't have nightmares of this part now. This is a pretty brutal ending for a level, especially considering all the hell you had to go through beforehand. The first choke point of this part is 94, just a hard ship gap that you have to adjust for while going through it. And then, the final wave of the level, probably the most terrifying thing I will ever experience in an Extreme Demon. Even though it's easier than it looks, it's a completely different story when playing from zero. It's pretty hard to pull off when both of your hands are shaking so much. And to end the level off, you do one final click to the end. Alright, now that you know everything about Zodiac, You know everything about Zodiac, don't you? It's time to move into my experience of this level, and just the entire journey leading up to the completion in general. So to do that, we need to go all the way back to August 7th, 2025.
Just went on a little side quest and got 22% on Zodiac. I don't know why, but I'm kind of considering going for it after y'all.
And that right there marks the biggest mistake I've ever made. So, yeah, this one post I made on my George Dash account was the beginning of my Zodiac grind. I guess the first thing I should talk about is what kind of progress I made after a month, since it's probably more than what you're expecting. Well, not only did I get 22%, I also got 34% just 3 days into playing the level, and then 1 week later, I got 43%. This seems great, right? What could have went so wrong? Oh, how I wish I knew what I was getting myself into. Progress would slow down a bit after I got 43, as I didn't really do much for 2 weeks. But then, on September 3rd, I did 56 to 92. This was pretty huge for me back then, as this run contained some of the hardest parts, like TMN and Failure. Soon after this, I would get 46%, passing all of Shock's part and dying to Duo's part. This, however, would be my best for quite some time. This was when I started to realise Zodiac's true difficulty. Sure, I could get to 38% sometimes, but no matter what happened, I feel like I was just guaranteed to die at Shock's part every time I reached it. Before I even knew it, it was nearly halfway through November and still, 46% was my best run. Was I losing my mind? Not even at 56 to 100 after all this time. Until there was a 56 to 100 run. Finally, some real progress was made after not doing anything for 2 months straight. This gave me a massive motivation boost, so with more confidence than ever, I played from 0, and 1 week after getting my 56 to 100 run, I got this new best, 59%. This was a significant jump in progress, as I managed to fluke past Tactics part and even Samifying. I was so relieved. Finally, a new number to look at other than 46. Although I did die to 59, one of the biggest choke points in the level, it didn't stop me. I kept going, and in just another 2 weeks, I did something even crazier. November 19th, the day I got 77% on Zodiac. I couldn't believe it. I got to Penato, and I fluked Failure. This can't be real. No way. It was real. I got to Penato and Zodiac after about 25,000 attempts from this point. I thought this was the beginning of the end. I thought it was nearly over. It was far from over. After getting 77, I felt great. It felt like this 3-month journey at the time was coming to a close. I played the level every day, just waiting for the moment I beat the level. That moment never came. At least not as fast as I wanted it to. Just like that, another month had passed since I got 77. I was losing hope now. That 77 run really was a fluke, wasn't it? Until December 23rd. Something felt different today. I could feel it this attempt. I passed Penato. I was ready to fluke it. 88? How? How am I so close but so far at the same time? Don't mess this up, I swear to God if you mess this up. 92 is great progress, you're almost there. Just give up, you're never gonna beat them. Stay focused. You idiot, how did you die there? God damn it! Yeah, I got 94%. First it was 92, 93, 94. Just let it end! Oh, what's that? Is that 97% death? You deserve to die there again. It's not enough pain, it's not enough pain. I don't even know what to say. I really thought that was it. I mean, I thought it was going to be over. I thought it was finally over. But what if it could be? Yeah, that's the first jump in shock, because I can't do it still to this day. Oh my god! Oh, yes! 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 Oh shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, yes! 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 I beat Zodiac! Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes! Oh my god! Oh, what the fuck? Oh my god! Oh, no way! No way! Oh my god! Yeah! Me, Zodiac! Oh my god, I'm still in disbelief. Oh my god, bro. 9,053 plus 4,215 plus 3,592. And for my actual attempts, if you want the exact amount, it is 44,360 attempts to beat Zodiac. Oh my god. I actually just beat a list demon. I guess I'm just gonna end stream now. I don't really know what to do now. I mean, yeah. I guess that's just it, isn't it? Alright. Well, I'm gonna go probably edit the video because I'm gonna make like a 15-minute video. I've got like all the clips. Alright, bye. Goodbye. I beat Zodiac. Let's fucking go. Yes. Alright.